Hello and welcome to the jungle garden in Denmark. So after a long and wet and cold winter, it's finally time to get the plants out of the winter protection boxes so we can see how they've done, if they've done better than they normally do without the boxes. Now we've finally got some warmer weather, so we have taken off the polystyrene boxes, and they're now outside the garden taking up a lot of room. But it's time to have a look at and see how it worked. For some plants it's been good, and for other plants it hasn't been so good, and in some cases we've made a mistake, which we of course will do different next year or next winter. And that's what this is all about, trial and error. So let's have a look and see. Now all the polystyrene boxes have been taken away and dismantled, and wow, it takes up a lot of room. So now we have a new problem. Where are we going to put that? Because we're going to use them again next year. This is Schefflera taiwaniana. And as always, it has had a polystyrene barrel around it for the winter, and it's doing quite well. It always is. And this is Dicksonia antarctica. We did try to wrap the fronds as well this time, in the hope that we could keep some of the crown, if you can call it that. But the first storm we had, they all broke, and that's why they look like that. But there are new fronds on the way from the center of the plant, so it's going to be all right. It had just been nice if we had just a few green ones to start with. Here you can see there's lots of new fronds on the way. This is Trachycarpus fortuneii, and as you can see, it's doing really well. It has, as always, had some straw around the center shoot, and then a fleece bag when it got really cold. As an experiment, we put a polystyrene box around the neighbor here, and as you can see, where the leaves have touched the inside of the polystyrene box, they have become brown and frosted off the points of the leaves, and they're not looking really well. So I suppose it's a case of what we in Denmark call choose between plague or cholera. And this is Gunnera cryptica, as it is called now. And it has been so slow in getting started, but we've had such a cold spring. But finally, there's shoots coming. This is one of the Phormium variegatas, and as you can see, that has done really, really well with a polystyrene box. Normally, they look brown, and I have to cut them way back to just make them look just a little nice. But clearly they have done very, very well with the polystyrene box, except for one which has completely rotted away, and we think it is because it had straw in the center. We normally do that without the polystyrene box, and for some reason it had got straw in the center and a box, and the straw was very humid, so it's probably why it rotted away. What a shame, but then you've learned that. This is one of the Eucalyptus tree, and you can see the leaves have been poken out of the box, are browned off, but the rest are looking fairly good, and the plant has survived, which was the main reason to give it a polystyrene box. We did lose all of them last year, so apparently they've done well as well with a box. And if you look at this Eucalyptus, that has done really well. You can't see any damages on that at all. And then there are the banana plants. We had hoped that we could maintain the height of the stems or pseudostems by giving them a polystyrene box. And for this one, I think that is the tallest we've got. It has partly worked. There's a smaller one down here. We had to cut it way down because the pseudostem was all mushy. But we did make a mistake. The rest of them, the bananas, almost the rest of them, they're frozen back to the ground as always. But we made a mistake. Instead of putting a polystyrene lid on top, we put a piece of plastic to protect them from the rain. But that hasn't insulated at all, of course. So next year we know we have to put a polystyrene lid on. Here's one of the other banana plants, Musa basjoo. And as you can see, it has frozen completely back. We had to cut down the trunk in the hope of getting some new growth from the middle, but it doesn't look like it. So we'll just have to see if it shoots from the root, and otherwise we've got some backup plants that has overwintered indoors. This is Tetrapanax, which has also had a polystyrene box around it in the hope that we could maintain the trunks and it would shoot again from the top, but it doesn't look like it has survived the growth point in the top. So it will probably have to shoot from the root again, as always. It's very annoying because it just never gets very high in that way. And this is Cordyline australis. They have also had polystyrene boxes this year, and they're all looking good except for this one next to it. When we took the box off, the whole plant came off as well, and it was sort of rotted away at the bottom of the trunk, except for one little root. So my husband has tried to put it back in the ground in the hope that it will grow on. I doubt it, but we'll have to see. This was our Chamaerops humilis, which looks very dead, but it hasn't spear pulled, so perhaps it's still alive. It didn't get a polystyrene box, and maybe it should have had one. It has had a fleece bag over it, but it was the first winter it was outside. And perhaps it wasn't a Chamaerops humilis. I just think it looks like one. It didn't have a name tag when I bought it. This is Euphorbia mellifera, which looks like it hasn't made it. It also had a polystyrene box, but perhaps it has died because lack of light. So perhaps some of these boxes have to be made out of some sort of thermoplastic that you use for outdoor roofs on terraces and that sort of thing. We'll have to work on that for next year. As you can see, the leaves and the yuccas have really been damaged by all those cold winds we've had during winter. Normally they do get damage on the leaves at near the ground on the plants, but this time it's just the whole plant. So I'll have to remove the worst ones and just live with the rest. It's a real shame. They have survived no problems, but they're not looking very pretty. We have also had the big spring clean out of the pond, which we do every year, and we put up this pool, and then we pump all the water into the pool, except for the last bit. There's about half a meter left in the pond when we're finished, and then we catch all the fish, and they go into that pool as well. and then all the rocks in the pond are pressure washed to look really good. But it became a bigger operation than we thought, because there was a plant that actually had put its roots right through the rubber liner. So we had to get the plant out. We haven't really finished yet. You can see there's still some rubber showing at the sides. And this is what is left of our Acre negundo. It died during the winter. It was 20 years old. We don't know why it died, but we'll have to find something to replace it with. Probably a Paulownia, because they grow so fast. We had a problem with this wooden edge that just rotted and broke and looked really ugly. We were thinking about what to put there instead, and now we've gone for the more natural look. We have so many branches now from that dead tree, so we've decided to use them as an edge. Now is also the time to find out which plants we need to build up the garden again, and it will be bushes of some sort, because we need that second layer. In December we bought a Dicksonia antarctica as a bare-rooted trunk, and it was huge. It was a lot bigger than we thought when it arrived, and we put it in a pot and put it in the room with the other plants that are overwintering inside, with growth lights. I didn't have the possibility of making a real time-lapse video, but I've taken a photo approximately every second day, and I put it together to like a little film, so you can see how quickly it has developed. I apologize for the pink lights, but that's the growth lights. And here it is on its temporary spot while we make room for it in the garden. There's a tree out there, unfortunately, that has died, and we have to get rid of that first. But there just wasn't room for it anymore indoors. The fronds were breaking because they were up against the roof or the ceiling in the room. And then there's a little one next to it that looks like it's dead, but there are new fronds on the way. And that was all for now. Thank you for watching.